I get super stressed, from having difficult conversations to dealing with deadlines, even more recently to having contractors scream in my face, even to the extent where they start having fights in my morning meetings in front of me. I've had a lot to deal with at my work recently, which has been really good for me, but also it's allowed me to research ways of dealing with stress because I've been forced to do it. And over the past couple of months I've developed a couple of techniques that have really helped me. I'm definitely not some sort of Zen project manager that's always relaxed, definitely not. But I do feel like I've gained a couple of really helpful tips that hopefully I can share with other people who might be going through similar situations. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you've just seen, I'm going to be talking a bit about dealing with stress at work, and I think there are 5 things that I've learned over the past couple of months. So I'm going to be sharing them with you now, so if you want to stick around, then let's get started. So the first is having fun at work. Now, there's always a time, I feel, in a project or in your work where it gets so overwhelming that you don't feel like you can reasonably stop the work and do something else. You get tunnel vision and you can only focus on that one task until it's done. Now, that can be really helpful when you've got a deadline to meet. However, if that becomes your way of working all the time, it can become so overwhelming and draining. And one way I've found to deal with this is to allow yourself to have a bit of fun at your work. Maybe it's at your job, maybe it's at university. And my example has been in the factory. We've got a football table, and it just so happens that I'm unreasonably competitive, and a lot of my colleagues are as well. So we tend to, at lunchtime, have a quick game of table football, and in that moment there is nothing else I'm thinking about other than beating the person opposite me. And I find that that's a really helpful escape from work. Now that leads nicely into my second point, which is finding your escape. Now, my escape is food, which sounds kind of bad. It doesn't mean that I eat biscuits and chocolate when I'm stressed until I become fat. Instead, what I mean is that I get so much joy and value out of food that I have started actually making time for that. Previously, I would only eat lunch in front of my laptop whilst answering emails or doing other bits of work. But more recently, my manager pointed out to me that I enjoy food, and it was very reasonable for me to take a lunch break, as everyone really should if they want to sort of take care of themselves. So what I've started doing is I've gone down to the cafeteria every lunchtime and just enjoyed my food, either with colleagues or by myself, listening to something. And that way of allowing myself to escape from my work through something I enjoy, again, similar to having fun. Food is my sort of escape, but you've got to think about what it is for you. It might be food as well, but it might be something like reading, or going for a walk. Whatever it is for you, really utilize that if you can every single day to almost escape from your work. The next one's probably a bit more specific to my role as a project manager, but I hope it can be helpful for you too. The times when I've felt the most sort of overwhelmed is when people have come to me with concerns or questions and I've not really known what to do with them. That happens a lot, I think, as a younger person who's a bit more inexperienced. But understanding your responsibilities, and when you can turn around to someone and say, hold on a second, that's your responsibility, you need to deal with it. Although that sounds a bit brash and a bit harsh, sometimes that's just what you need to do. You need to say, is this really for me? Shouldn't you be dealing with this? And that can be really sort of helpful for you if you're currently trying to take on everyone else's worries and responsibilities. I'm quite good at taking on everyone else's responsibilities, when actually I need to be allowing other people to do their job and recognising what my job is so that I can focus on that instead. So just take a bit of time, maybe ask someone superior to you, maybe ask your fellow colleagues, what is it that your key responsibilities are that you need to focus on, and where can you delegate? The next one's kind of a classic, but I always want to include it because it is really important, is separation of work and rest. I think it's so key to have that ritual between starting work and ending work, and for me at the moment I have a commute which acts like that, but other people working from home might struggle with that. It's really important that you can separate those two so that you allow time to recover between each work sort of day. Now, if you're struggling with this, I think a piece of helpful advice is probably to have a good conversation with your manager, if you trust them, about stopping at a reasonable hour. Obviously you'll have a contract, but I find it really helpful to almost get that permission. You don't technically need, but that permission from your manager to stop when you are meant to really helps you to sort of be at ease and allow you to go away from work when you need to. If you're at uni, it's a bit harder, but maybe having a key sort of calendar or structure to the day can really help you to separate the two. And finally, the last point is a bit more rogue, And if I listened to a video like this about a year ago, I might have switched off at this point, hearing that the tip was breathing. But actually, hold on. I found it to be so helpful in the past couple of months, particularly, as I said earlier, when contractors have been really up in my face and shouting or complaining or moaning or even having fights. That can be really quite difficult in the moment. And one thing I've started to employ and use and find really helpful is breathing exercises. So, for example, I like to breathe in through my nose for 4 seconds and then out through my mouth as if I'm breathing through a straw for 6 seconds. So just give it a try now if you want to. And the reason why it's so powerful is you can use that wherever you are, even if you're in front of people who are making you stressed or if you're by yourself. And I think it's just a really useful tool that you can employ right now and start seeing the results. Now, it's not a way of dealing with your stress, but it is a way of coping, I think. So if you want to give that a go, then I would strongly recommend. There are loads of other breathing exercises out there you can have a look at, but that one I just said I've found quite helpful whilst on site. Now, as I've just mentioned, there are many reasons why I've been stressed at work. If you want to find out a bit more about why I get so stressed at work sometimes, and all the fun things I do, then you can follow me on Instagram. I try and post sort of like a daily little update on there about what I've got up to. I can't do a huge amount on there because lots of things are confidential, but I do try to share things that I've learned and difficult things I've gone through, just to show you what a placement student gets up to. So if you found this interesting, then thank you so much for watching. And as always, I will see you in the next video.